Welcome to our webinar this afternoon, Gavilon Rebuilds with Oracle E-Business Suite, Release 12 and Hyperion Essbase. Next slide, please, Alan. My name is Steve Hayden. I'm a partner at MarketSphere, and I'll be serving as the host today. MarketSphere is an Oracle Platinum partner and has proven itself as a leader in Oracle solutions across both the enterprise performance management as well as the ERP suite of applications. As you can see from the agenda, we have a lot to cover today. First, I'm happy to have Al Douglas, Cindy Inman, and Chris Kellogg with me today from Omaha, Nebraska, which is Gavilon's headquarters location. Let me take a minute to introduce our speakers. Cindy Inman is the Director of Accounting Services with Gavilon. She had a view from the ConAgra world where she served as the director in their accounting organization. And then at the formation of Gavilon, Cindy has been one of the key business owners of the project that we will discuss today. Chris Kellogg is a manager of finance systems at Gavilon. Chris has a strong background in ERP systems, and he joined Gavilon's finance applications team from the consulting industry and has helped to build a new support structure for all Gavilon systems. And then finally, Al Douglas. Al's a senior solution architect with MarketSphere. And as part of our Oracle practice, he's got 20 years of experience with the E-Business Suite, including a number of complex multinational companies like ConAgra, Nortel, and Sitel. Most recently, Al's been a key member of the Gavilon implementation that we'll be discussing today. Also, from an introductory standpoint, we did want to share an overview slide on MarketSphere. One other thing to note, we'll be out at Oracle Open World in San Francisco beginning this Sunday and have a lot going on out there, including a great networking event on Tuesday night. If you're going to be in or at Open World and would like to connect, just drop us a note. Our contact information will be shared at the end of today's presentation. So again, Tuesday night event at Open World. If any of you are planning to attend, please just, again, drop us a quick note. We'd love to visit with you out there. With that, let me turn the program over to Alan, Cindy, and Chris.
Thank you very much, Steve. And I'd like to thank all of you that are joining us on the phone here today for our webcast. I know that your time is precious, and I appreciate the time that you're giving today to listen to this presentation. I certainly hope we can give you valuable information, and we will also be providing an opportunity at the conclusion of this of the slide part of this presentation for you to ask questions, and we'll do our best to provide answers to that. I also want to thank Gavilon for allowing us to share their story and their experience with the re-implementation of Oracle Financials and Hyperion Essbase at Gavilon. But let me first give you a little bit of background about Gavilon. Gavilon is a commodity management firm. They connect producers and consumers of commodities through a worldwide supply chain network. They have over $6 billion in revenue with approximately 1,000 employees, 192 facilities across 11 countries and 6 continents. They're the 5th largest grain merchandising operation, the leading feed ingredient platform in the U.S., 2nd largest fertilizer distribution network in the U.S., and the leading independent physical storage and transportation network of crude oil, natural gas, and renewable fuels. They are also a previous user of Oracle applications as part of their previous relationship with ConAgra Foods. So let's move and talk a little bit about this project and how we got started. Back in June of 2008, ConAgra Foods sold its subsidiary, known as ConAgra Trade Group at that time, to third-party investors, and Gavilon was formed. Gavilon was given 17 months to basically separate themselves and their needs for financial system processing and really all of their processes from ConAgra Foods, and to get those processes and systems set up and running at the new Gavilon. Systems that were directly impacted by that are, as they're listed here, AP, AR, the projects, asset management, general ledger, treasury, financial reporting. Along with that, since they were serviced by the larger corporation, they had to get in place their HR, legal, and IT organizational structures, the full technical infrastructure to support systems that they now were responsible for, other things like company portals and email systems and ticketing systems, and basically everything that is required to operate as a standalone corporation. As I said, Gavilon utilized, as part of ConAgra Foods, Oracle eBusiness Suite General Ledger alone. They were also running on Walker Accounts Payable, a legacy old version of that, also a legacy version of PeopleSoft AR. They had SAP in place for order management along with other systems that were integrated into that environment. MarketSphere's relationship with Gavilon came together again as a request to initiate a small project to look at the current available systems out there and to identify what their go-forward technology solution would be. So as you see on this slide, the selection that was made was Oracle EBS and Hyperion Essbase. Some of the objectives of that selection of what MarketSphere was involved in working with Gavilon was, first of all, to evaluate the recommended solutions to be reviewed and to do product demonstrations and gap analysis to see how those solutions fit with Gavilon's need. Also to complete an infrastructure cost analysis looking at whether they managed this in-house or whether they looked at a hosted solution. To pull together a communication plan and strategy and to support the negotiation process with that vendor. So, looking at how Oracle and Hyperion pulled that in place, you see by the picture here that from Gavilon's perspective, Oracle EBS and Hyperion Essbase fully met their requirements as they looked at reporting and budgeting and transaction processing and APAR and the GL. The financial viability and support and infrastructure of Oracle all received top marks, and the cost of ownership was in line with where Gavilon wanted to be as well. With that decision behind them, the next key decision was looking at whether they re-implement or whether they upgrade. I've got two slides here just focusing on some of those key drivers that helped them in that selection process. I'm going to talk about from the financial management side with Oracle EBS some of the key drivers that helped in making that decision. Looking at the top of this slide of the general ledger, some of the key function enhancements in Release 12 that drove Gavilon to continue with Oracle, looking around the concept of ledgers and reporting ledgers and secondary ledgers and ledger sets that gave them, while they were implementing a single ledger in this first implementation, the growth capability as Gavilon's plan is to expand their business, the functionality provided in Oracle to look at the business in many different ways through ledgers and ledger sets and reporting ledgers and such, provided them the functionality that they were looking for. Third-party systems. Going through this process, there were a number of systems that would still continue for a period of time after the conversion over to Oracle. So Oracle's ability to integrate with those third-party systems, not just as a inbound transaction relationship, but also a outbound transaction relationship with them as well, was a key driver in that decision. Looking at moving off of the legacy systems that they were running for AP and AR and assets, Oracle provided the full functionality that they needed in each of those areas. Down in the corner, the role-based access. There's a number of different groups within the Gavilon organization that need to have access to the same data. You have the finance admin group, you have trader assistants who need access to the financial data, you have a credit organization, planning organizations, treasury, tax, a number of different groups that need to have access to the same information, but with different capabilities and different views of that information. And the role-based access provided by Oracle absolutely met that requirement. So So from a financial management perspective, Oracle EBS fully met all the needs as identified by Gavilon. Looking at the analytics side of things, moving to our next slide, and looking at Essbase, ConAgra Foods was a previous user of Hyperion Essbase, so Gavilon was already familiar with the product and familiar with its capabilities. They were happy with the product and wanted to exploit those capabilities in a new footprint setup within Gavilon. So looking at the slide here, you see the functionality that they absolutely took advantage of in terms of general ledger and the future capabilities related to receivables and the other modules integration with Hyperion Essbase to provide them with the reporting and the budgeting and the planning requirements that they were looking for. The other benefit that was provided by going with Hyperion Essbase at the same time as we're doing the Oracle upgrade is we could look at not moving all of the historical data over to Oracle EBS, but keeping a large portion of that historical data only in Hyperion alone. And that was the pathway that we went through, and that significantly reduced the level of effort related to loading historical data into Oracle Financials and kept it focused purely on the current transactional data that it required. So let's look at the question that I mentioned back on the earlier slide related to the next decision was, should they upgrade from 11i to R12 or should they re-implement on R12? Let's look at some of the commonalities that exist in an upgrade scenario versus a re-implementation scenario. As part of an upgrade, some of the things that you would see that would be common in choosing an upgrade would be that you're running on a single instance of Oracle, that you have a single chart of accounts, or you're at least satisfied with the chart of accounts definition that you have in place today. You have standardized business processes with minimal customizations, and you run shared service centers for back office functions. For the re-implementation scenarios, here's some of the things that are common there. You may wish to change configurations that are not easily changed, like your chart of accounts definition, your costing method, or your calendar. I will mention that there are tools available out there today, like ePrentice's FlexField tool, that will help you with chart of account changes. That if that is your sole issue, it's not necessarily an issue that would stop you from following the path of doing an upgrade, but it is absolutely a real consideration. If you're running multiple instances of Oracle and you would like to consolidate, that's going to drive you to consider re-implementation. You have multiple charts of accounts that you would like to consolidate. You have disparate business processes you'd like to standardize. So you're going from a decentralized back office function to more of a shared services model. And if you have many customizations as part of your previous Release 11 environments, you're going to want to reevaluate those and see whether you keep those customizations and go in favor of standard functions delivered out of Oracle. So due to Gavilon's need to modify the chart of accounts and the fact that they were changing the calendar, we chose the pathway of going through a re-implementation. With that said, let me just say a couple of points about upgrade versus re-implementation, just some things as you consider this and look at it to also understand. Whether you're following the pathway of doing an upgrade or whether you are doing a re-implementation, there are a number of steps you're going to have to do in either case. You're still going to have to lay down the tech stack in terms of all of the software components related to Oracle. All of that installation process, the database, and everything related to it is still going to have to happen. You are still going to have to do the same amount of work to update any customizations that you have against the Oracle environment. Oracle will handle upgrading their pieces, but your pieces, either in an upgrade or a re-implementation, are still your responsibility. The same amount of testing is required. Oracle is very clear that this is a significant, complex upgrade to go through, with significant changes, as we'll go through and talk about each of the modules, significant changes in the structure and the functionality and capability of these modules. So it is not just a straight upgrade and start to use the product. There are configuration changes and options after the upgrade is complete that make the decision for doing a standard upgrade or doing a re-implementation one that you need to seriously look at. And for those of you that have been working in Oracle for quite a period of time, you are well experienced with the effort that it takes to configure an Oracle application. So from my perspective, I'm not necessarily as scared of doing a re-implementation with a good understanding of the level of effort that it takes to reconfigure modules. It really comes down to focusing on, do I want to use Oracle's tool set to migrate all of my historical data across, or am I going to use the tools that I already have in place to do that? Each of those all come together as part of making the decision as to whether you're going to upgrade or re-implement. Let's just take a moment to look at what would the overall methodology be for doing an upgrade had we decided to do that at Gavilon. So let me just walk through the way that we would approach that. We would approach an upgrade with a project that would be executed in 3 phases. Those phases are the evaluate and plan phase, the upgrade and test phase, and the transition and deploy phase. Part of the evaluate and plan phase, we would be, first of all, providing an opportunity to educate you on all of the changes that have happened within the Oracle financials, within the Oracle ERP environment. Considering all the modules that you are currently running and considering running, it's going to be very important to understand what those changes are and what opportunities you have to rationalize those customizations. We would conduct an impact assessment looking to see not only how is this going to impact your technical environment, but also how is it going to impact your users, how is it going to impact your business processes, so that we can put plans in place to address those. And that falls into point number 3, developing a communication strategy, doing a full skills assessment within the organization, which enables us to pull together a business case and a project charter. From there, we pull together a project plan, which then drives 2 processes to pull together our test scripts and to start to look at our upgrade playbook, which is really looking at all of the steps, both from Oracle's perspective, from our customizations, our process changes, our training, everything that's going to be impacted by this change needs to be incorporated into the playbook. Then, as part of the upgrade and test phase, we get into a repetitive process that is the actual upgrade, where the upgrade is executed, where the upgrade is tested, where all patches that are required and that become required as part of the upgrade testing are incorporated into the playbook. And as we go through iterations of the test process, we also incorporate our own reports and interfaces and extensions into that upgrade, and we test that fully through. You'll see there it says repeat X times. You should plan for at least 3 to 5 runs through the upgrade. If you're doing this in a environment that's very time sensitive, then you're going to want to know exactly how long is this upgrade going to take us to execute. And you're going to want to be able to run this in a repeatable way that by the time you are ready to move this out to production, you know exactly how many hours, or pretty close to exactly how many hours this upgrade is going to take, so that you can commit to your user community as to when the system will be available again. And the 3 to 5 times also gives you an opportunity to experience issues along the way, because I can guarantee you that you will run into issues as part of going through that. As much of this has been tested through, there will invariably be issues and bugs and things that need to be worked through as part of executing this upgrade. And I can't emphasize enough the importance of allowing yourself enough time and enough opportunities to run that through. For those of you that have gone through prior upgrades, going from earlier versions of 11 to 11i, you would attest to the fact that even Probably in your production upgrade, you may have ran into a bug that you did not experience during your test phase. So the more that you can run that repetitive process, the better. The more assured you will be of your production upgrade. From that point, we would also perform the new module configuration. So whatever enhancements are needed in that new module as part of taking advantage of the new Oracle features need to be configured at this point. After all that testing is completed, we're now ready to roll into the transition and deploy phase, where we would get our deployment checklist in place. We've got our playbook. We've already tested through our upgrade multiple times, and we're ready to go and to actually execute the upgrade. So we prepare for that move. We execute on our training plan, and we actually finally run that upgrade and get ourselves up to the Release 12 environment that we desire to be at. Some other things to consider about that is your first upgrade that you go through, the first time that you run through, plan some extra time for that. That is going to be your most challenging run through the upgrade path. Make use of the tools that Oracle provides to you to document the issues that you encounter along the way and the actions that you took to address those issues, so that the next time that you run through that upgrade, you know exactly what to do when that issue comes up, because it's probably going to come up again. All right, switching back to the Gavilon project that we had, which was a re-implementation project, let's just look at some of the challenges that Gavilon was facing that may have some similarities to what you might be facing. They had approximately 150 users that needed to be trained. They had the creation of new organizational structures, and I'm not talking about organizational structures necessarily in Oracle. I'm talking about the actual organization to pull together the support of Oracle and Hyperion. That was new to this group. They had to create admin teams to support the assets, accounts payable, and receivable functions. New roles and responsibilities needed to be defined, needed to be trained, and needed to be evaluated in terms of Sarbanes and other requirements to make sure that the new roles would not put the company in any risk. There were 4 business units that required distinct system footprints that had to be addressed by this implementation. In parallel, there was an implementation of a energy trading and risk management system that was going on that had already started actually before we began the upgrade and was well along its way as we were working on this project, and we had to integrate in with that as well. We had a complex integration map with approximately 25 interfaces with 7 data conversions. We had multiple applications that were going to go to restful sleep as part of this implementation, and there were 5 to 6 other parallel projects going on at the same time. So this is probably similar to some of the challenges that many of you will be experiencing while you're doing an Oracle upgrade or a re-implementation. We've got things that are going to be competing with our resources and with our demands to get this project completed. So looking at each of those, we pulled together the following implementation roadmap, which broke into 3 waves of implementation. The first wave that went in July focused on the GL capabilities and getting Hyperion Essbase up, all of our history data, everything needed to view the business and report the business from a general ledger perspective. It focused on getting Web ADI up and running and the planning side of Essbase in place as well. So the modules that we got in place in phase 1, general ledger, the cash management assets, Hyperion Essbase, and accounts payable. I would call the July rollout, I guess, a bigger part of our rollout phase. Looking at October rollout, I would call that a smaller rollout where we focused on the JP Morgan bank interfaces, getting all the payment processes running and functioning with JP Morgan for both AP and AR. And the one piece, I guess, that I do not want to underestimate about smallness there is that the effort that it does take to work with the banks in implementing new processes is in itself a time-consuming process. Each of the banks have a organization and a function and a project planning process that they go through that we need to fit ourselves in, and that you need to have that align with the scheduled time frames that you have for going live. So while it was not a big deployment in that, the challenges of working around the schedule of the bank to get that in place did bring challenges into the project. Our major full complete rollout happened in December, where we rolled out full AR, full AP, a custom invoice matching process, numerous custom reports and customer statements, and we fully deployed the GL, AP, AR, and assets functionality to Gavilon. Now what I'm going to do is switch into reviewing each of the modules that we implemented, what the challenges were in that, what our approach was, and what the key enablers were to driving the business benefits that was desired at Gavilon. Let's focus on the general ledger first. The challenge here was they were migrating from a complex multi-set of books structure that was used at ConAgra Foods to satisfy the needs of their extensive business to a more simplified single ledger that supported the multiple transactional currencies and that reflected Gavilon's business requirements, not ConAgra Foods' business requirements. So number one was looking at the chart of accounts. Chart of accounts that was put in place at ConAgra, and may be similar to what some of you have, was put in place a number of years earlier and had been, manipulated and cajoled and twisted to, in some ways, meet the reporting and transactional needs of the business today. In some cases, segments were being used maybe not for what their true original meaning was, but to meet the needs of the business as it was today. Now is Gavilon's opportunity to relook at that and to design a chart of accounts that would improve the transactional content that they had and improve the reporting capabilities that they were looking to get from that chart of accounts. So we were able to do that. We were able to reduce the segments, but while reducing segments to increase that valuable data content that they were looking for and the level of granularity that they desired to have. So we developed a mapping process to convert that data both for Oracle as well as, both for Oracle ERP as well as Essbase. We introduced a legal entity structure to provide the reporting and analytical capabilities that they needed. We integrated with Bloomberg to have a daily interface of exchange rates. And we continued, because it was used heavily within ConAgra, to make extensive use of ADI, but now in the new Web ADI tool as part of Release 12. I'd like just to mention some other considerations for you to bear in mind as you look at a upgrade versus re-implementation. First of all, the HR orgs that you would have had in your Release 11 environment that kind of indirectly or mentioned what the legal entities were are now directly and very explicitly visible within 11I. So those legal entities, GREs, and the HR organization will now become a legal entity within R12 and will be very upfront with how that is used throughout the entire application. Your set of books in 11I are going to become a primary ledger in Oracle Release 12. If you've got the global accounting multi-post books set up, they're going to become secondary ledgers in Release 12. If you have multiple recording currency books set up, they're going to become reporting currencies within Release 12. If you have the global intercompany system running, that's going to become the advanced global intercompany system within R12. I would recommend that you take advantage of, exploit the capabilities provided by ledger sets, reporting ledgers, secondary ledgers, to relook at the way that you do your reporting and you do your transactional processing within Oracle, because there is some great capabilities that you can take advantage of in this new environment. Oracle provides a accounting setup manager pre-update report that you can run that will tell you what it is that they're going to do as part of the upgrade with all of your existing sets of books and configuration elements within Release 11i that can give you a preview of what's going to happen as part of that upgrade. Also consider the fact that with data access sets in Release 12, you now have the ability to allow users from a single responsibility to report across multiple ledger sets, ledgers, reporting ledgers, secondary ledgers. Much more can be done from a single responsibility, which would cause you also to relook at the structure of your responsibilities within the system so that you can potentially simplify things there. And one other feature that is often an issue in systems is as you go in and disable accounts, that just becomes a hard stop in Oracle if someone's trying to use it. Oracle provides replacement accounts now that you can point disabled accounts that you have to a new account so that it does not stop your business processing. One of the things that I mentioned is that Gavilon was a heavy user of Web ADI. Now on this next slide, I just want to talk about what Gavilon did with Web ADI to tune it to their specific needs. Call it Gavilon's Web ADI their style. Basically what we did was we took the standard template that is downloaded from Oracle that you all would be using and created two multi-currency templates, one where the user enters a rate, the other one where they enter amounts and the rate is calculated. The additional Gavilon fields that you see circled on this screen, those fields basically limit the choices that are provided to the users so that we reduce the chance for error or the chance for issues in using ABI to be specific with the values that they need to choose. Everything else was standard Web ADI. The way that it uploaded to the application, the way that it functioned and worked, all that was done was just additional fields were added in to limit the options that were provided to the users. And that really simplified and reduced the risk in the rollout of the new Web ADI to the financial user community. Right, looking at Accounts Payable. The business challenge in Accounts Payable was the unique freight invoicing and payment processing that was done at Gavilon. This was really something that was somewhere in between what purchasing and AP provided together. Did not require a full purchasing capability, but certainly required some pieces that looked a lot like that. The volume of invoices and the payments they were doing was particularly taxing on their current staff, and we needed to address that as part of Oracle, as part of the Oracle implementation as well. So our approach was first of all to take advantage of the capabilities that JP Morgan PaySource had for us to integrate with that in how we send up check formats and ACH and wire payments and centralize the payment processing. We use BI Publisher to do multiple in-house check formats, electronic checks, ACH and wire, positive pay files, and remittance advice. We use standard form extensions, and I'll talk a little bit more on the next page, to provide the solution to Gavilon for this additional invoice matching requirement. We also set up customer banks and bank accounts interfaced and managed in TCA as a single counterparty. Oracle is absolutely moving, and they move AP and AR to the trading community architecture, and you need to be loading in and setting up your customer suppliers to take full advantage of that to make use of the new capabilities provided in Oracle. So some considerations would be, number one, what I just said, the supplier move to trader community architecture. Invoice lines. We will now have additional invoice lines with multiple distributions for each line. So in your upgrade, those multiple distribution lines will become a single line in Oracle as part of that upgrade. Payment processing, significant changes in Release 12 related to payment processing. So there will be new additional configuration that you have to do. Banks are centralized in this release. We now have AR and AP netting that is available within within Oracle Release 12 that you can take advantage of as well. Gavilon's automated invoice management system, AIMS, as we came to know and love it, was a tool that was created using really Oracle's standard tool set that was in front of us. We made use of the front-end AP interface tables to duplicate those tables and provide basically a front-end to AP that provided matching capabilities before those invoices were delivered to AP. So basically, an accrual invoice would come in from the feeder system, and it would be interfaced into the AIMS system. In there, it would wait for a EDI or a manual invoice to be entered in, and it would seek to match that. And then if it matches, it would pass it through to Oracle, and then the Oracle Payment Manager would take that invoice and process it through and pay it. So we were able to make use of Oracle's standard form extensions and to build a solution that did not require the full implementation of purchasing, but gave us what was needed to match the invoices coming from the source systems with the EDI invoices coming in from the EDI suppliers. Moving on to AR. Our challenge in AR was to improve, and let me just give you a little background. Oracle was not actually in AR executing the process of printing invoices. We were using Oracle AR basically to load invoices, apply cash, and send the invoice balances back to the source system. So our main focus was improving that cash application process and taking the cash application process and disseminating it out to a wider audience to make it more timely and more accurate. So we achieved this, first of all, through rolling it out to the trader assistants and having a broad user base for cash application. We improved the lockbox processing to previously it was just loading at a open balance level, and we moved it all the way down to the invoice so that it could match per invoice, and we improved the accuracy and match rate by at least 30%. We use receipt-to-receipt applications to make sure that receipts were properly assigned when they were not applied, when they were in an unapplied status to the correct entities. We provided the credit organization with better capabilities through the new features available to AR in advanced AR collections. And we, of course, leveraged the Release 12 AR and AP netting capabilities within Oracle as well. If you were doing invoice printing within Oracle, I would also mention that it is worthwhile to take a look at Oracle's bill presentment architecture. You have the ability to do an unlimited number of formats for printing invoices, customized to as many different customer groups as you want, and you also have the ability to print any attachments that are associated with those customers. So there are, and I guess one other piece to mention is line level application is available within Release 12. The one challenge to be aware of related to that line level application is that we found as we were using it, if you have transactions coming in that have both positive and negative lines within them, the current functionality that Oracle has requires you to put in all of your positive cash applications first and then your negative so that it works out correctly. So that still has some room for improvement, but absolutely met the requirements that Gavilon had to be able to apply cash at the line level. Let me just talk a little bit about the integrations that we had on the AR side with the commodity trading systems. You'll see by the picture over on the right-hand side here that the trading systems on one side would send invoices in, on the other side would send the daily settlements per customer, supplier, counterparty into Oracle. They would also send a summary journal up to the GL for reconciliation purposes, and they would send us counterparties as they were adding new supplier customer counterparties. Those would be interfaced into Oracle as well, so that there was only one place that they were being maintained. As cash was applied at a line level to those invoices, that cash was fed back to the trading system so that they had accurate balances available within the trading systems that tied back to Oracle. That was done multiple times per day. So we had a complex two-way interface going on between those systems that provided the ability for the users of those systems to be seeing the same data as much as possible at the same time and to have the accuracy required to have the trust base in the system. Moving on to assets. Our challenge there was to support Gavilon's capital budget reporting through the use of the fixed assets module. And really, originally, we looked at implementing two modules, the projects module and the assets module, to handle this requirement. And what we were able to do was we were able to leverage Oracle Fixed Assets construction and process capabilities and form personalizations to satisfy that through standard fixed assets and not require the implementation of a full Oracle projects solution, which was more than was required for Gavilon's needs here. So we personalized the warranties form to track the budget information, and with those two pieces in place, we're able to meet the need that Gavilon had for that capital budget reporting. We also made use of BI Publisher to show the budget to actual expenditure tracking. So both the personalizations and BI Publisher were what drove the benefits in that area. Some considerations related to assets is they have new enhanced mass additions that will help you automate legacy system conversion. You now have the automatic depreciation rollback, which is a real benefit to processing. While the account generator is supported in this upgrade, Oracle does recommend that you also look at the enhanced capabilities provided through the subledger accounting as well. Cash management. So currently, prior to Oracle, it was a significant manual effort to complete the reconciliation process. Our approach was to split the reconciliation between Oracle and the third-party vendor. So whatever transactions came to Oracle, Oracle reconciled. Whatever transactions came to the third-party vendor reconciled. So the source systems only sent transactions to the systems that would reconcile them. We extended the bank statement load process to make sure that it effectively handled ACH and wire transactions so that we reduced the requirement for manual reconciliation by at least 95%. And we also reconciled daily so that we could reduce the time at month end that it required to do that reconciliation. Our enablers there were, of course, the power of Oracle's open interface tables and the structures provided in there to load and complete that reconciliation. I will also note, as part of R12, as you saw on an earlier slide, the whole bank structure setup within Oracle changes within Release 12 and is centralized and it is able to be shared across operating units. So you're going to want to take a close look at your banks and how they're going to be upgraded as part of the Oracle upgrade process. Talk about some key takeaways. Number one, you need to plan extra time for SR and patch management, both the volume and the process that it takes. As we worked on refunds, some BI Publisher issues, and tax, there were a number of patches that needed to be applied to take full advantage of these capabilities. So do plan extra time for patching related to that. Now that said, we were on Release 12.06, and much of that may have been taken care of on the current 12.1.2, I believe, that is available. As I said, AR line level application does require additional training, so that if you've got positive and negative lines in your AR line details, that you train the users on how to do that to get a successful application. Interfacing at the event level certainly brings challenges, and understanding the capabilities of your source systems as well as Oracle. Oracle can, apply and unapply cash at will, and for some systems in the AR world, that's complex. But the event level detail provided in Oracle certainly did make that a lot easier for us, but it certainly was a challenge. Oracle's open interfaces and APIs are very powerful tools. Let's take advantage of them, and they will certainly make your integration efforts much simpler. So use the opportunity of upgrading to Release 12 to see if you can replace any custom integrations that you have in favor of using Oracle's open interfaces and the many new standard APIs that are available. And of course, your change management processes are also of key consideration so that you can address any productivity dips and that you can ensure that the project keeps on schedule. Those are the main things that I wanted to walk through here today. We're now going to transition into a question and answer session. I'm going to turn it over to Steve to run that for us.
Thank you, Al. At this time, I'd like to open the call up to Q&A. If you have any questions, open up your chat window within WebEx and then send a message to all panelists. I'm sure several of you have gone through this exercise if you've attended one in the past, but please go ahead and do that. A couple of you, our peers, have in the past, so we have a couple of questions. But as we're waiting for additional ones to come in, let me ask the team, in a little bit you talked about the key takeaways, but there may be others. In terms of lessons learned, what would you do differently the next time?
Well, I think some of the main lessons that we learned is surfaced around resources and planning of those resources, making sure that those resources that you want involved in the project aren't stretched too thin on other projects and along with their daily work. As everyone knows that their daily work, you'd like to be dedicated to a project 100%, but your daily work still has to be done.
Absolutely. I've got another question. Again, if you want to ask a question, just go to the chat window within the WebEx and send a message to all panelists. That's the only way we can handle questions on this today. One of the other ones that came in, how much did you utilize Oracle delivered integrations versus building your own? So a little bit more technical question, but again, to the group.
I'll take that. Looking at that from a Oracle app perspective, I would say that we almost exclusively used the standard interfaces and the APIs that were provided by Oracle. Looking at the customer interfacing that we were doing, where we were receiving actually customers and suppliers, new customers and suppliers as counterparties from the trade management system, we extensively used the interfaces and the APIs to give us insert and update capability for both suppliers and customers within Oracle. We use the standard interfaces also for AR and AP and assets to get all that transactional data into Oracle. So really, for the most part, the standard interfaces and APIs were able to meet the needs that we have for getting data into Oracle.
Great. Got a couple more that have come in. Can you share what the legacy and new ETRM solutions were that you integrated with EBS?
Share with the new legacy and the new...
So what were you had a slide in there that showed integration from legacy or even some third-party applications. What are your third-party applications as well as there's an ETRM solution that you're using?
The third-party applications that we integrated with, I guess the primary one was OpenLinks Endure. That is what was handling all the day-to-day trade management activity, and that was probably the most significant interface. We also interfaced with an in-house built system that was called FI that did something similar to what Endure was doing, but did it for the grain side of the business. In terms of the ETRM solution, I guess I'm not sure what that's in reference to.
There was one, I think you mentioned there was a concurrent project that was a trading system of some sort. I think that.
Yeah, that was Endure. So that was OpenLink's Endure project that was going along at the same time as we were, and we interfaced customers and suppliers with that, as well as AP and AR transactions back and forth to keep Endure in sync with Oracle.
Terrific. Thank you. Question on Hyperion. What was the Hyperion tech stack? I don't know. If you guys might know that answer.
Unfortunately, without Alan Nunn here, I do not have the answer to that.
We'll get that answered for you for the question that came up there. Any others? Well, we greatly appreciate everybody's this time today. I understand that because of this kind of format and the competitive nature, you might not want to ask another question, but feel free to contact either Al or I. You've got our contact information there on the screen. Once again, we'd like to thank Cindy and Chris for sharing their time with us today from Gavilon. It's not often that clients are willing to do this for a group, and we do appreciate them as clients as well as their interest in sharing their story with others as we all learn. I'd like to conclude this session and thank you all for your time and participation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.